Well, the latest is, we signed and contracted to do a rematch, and that's what it is right now.
Do you know when it's going to be, when we can hear?
I don't got no date right now, but I know that's the next fight that Terence Crawford.
How long do you think it will be before we have some news about that?
I don't know. It's still up in the air, given the
first male boxer, undisputed, in any division in a 4-belt era, and I honor, that, and if he was to come to me or activate his.
I mean, it could happen. I mean, why not? If Crawford want to challenge himself to be great, let him try to be great. So what I'm saying, I'm with it. So I'll be going for Bud. If he fight Canelo, I'll be going for him.
The sport is in trouble again. Just when it looked like Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. had moved on, a rematch is now being discussed in April 2025. This time, it's not just talk. Real negotiations are happening. Both fighters are speaking about it, and things are heating up quickly, with Crawford already putting pressure on Spence's place in boxing.
I wanted to see that immediately after that fight, but now time has kind of ran its course. I don't want to see Errol. I just don't want to see Errol get done like that again. That's all. And I believe Errol Spence is a generational talent. Great fight.
Crawford and Spence have never been the type to stay quiet. Now that the rematch talks are becoming real, both are speaking out more, firing shots in interviews, on social media, and even in a heated live exchange. Spence, who hasn't fought since his tough loss to Crawford in 2023, is more motivated than ever. He insists the first fight didn't show the full picture, saying he was weak from cutting weight to 147 low Bs. Crawford, on the other hand, keeps reminding everyone how he knocked Spence down 3 times and easily won. But Spence doesn't accept that story. He believes that at 154 lbs, the outcome will be completely different.
You gonna knock my first?
Because I don't want us personally. We talking about what we want to see. I don't want to see it because I know what it's gonna look like. The same as it looked last time.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Errol Spence wasn't the same.
What was wrong with him?
He looked slow. He looked he looked sluggish.
Why?
I can't tell you. I wasn't in camp.
At the division, he dominated for his entire career. All of a sudden, when it came time for this fight, he looked different. Why?
I wasn't in camp with him. I can't tell you. I don't know if his body finally broke down from being at 147.
The rematch story has been full of ups and downs since Spence used the rematch clause right after their first fight. When Crawford dominated him in July 2023, Spence quickly asked for another chance. But the contract was clear. Unless one of them gave written notice that they couldn't make 147 lbs, the rematch had to be at welterweight. Spence never officially sent that notice, yet he and his team kept saying the fight should be at 154. Crawford refused, seeing no reason to give Spence an advantage after beating him so clearly. That's how the standoff started.
But weight can be used as an excuse and sort of say, I don't feel like it. Like, I'll go up for this guy, but not another guy. So, that's sort of the spirit. The language is very, more precise and very definitive. But the concept is, out of fairness, is, let's not be selective.
Spence's health problems slowed everything down. He had eye surgery, needed time to recover, and many people wondered if he could ever get back to his old form. During that time, Crawford moved forward, won another title at 154 by beating Israel Madrimov, and ended any talk of a rematch. When Desir, reporters asked him about it, Crawford brushed it off, saying, "Nah," as if it wasn't even an option. At that point, it looked like the rivalry was finished for good.
Question, I don't want your reaction. Is the Errol Spence rematch on the table still, or? Nah.
All right, we're gonna wrap it.
I'm trying to tell you.
But now things are changing quickly. Crawford isn't completely shutting the door anymore, and Spence is increasing the pressure, calling him out every chance he gets. Many fans believe Spence deserves another shot, saying the weight cut really hurt him, and that it wasn't the real Spence in the ring that night. Others argue that's just an excuse, claiming he was exposed and that a rematch would look the same.
I truly believe that the fight would have went that way regardless, because stylistically, the fundamentals on that level, Crawford is just outclasses Errol Spence in every single.
Spence is now making things personal. He's openly accusing Crawford of ducking him, breaking the contract and acting like the fight never mattered just because he won the first time. But Crawford isn't letting him control the story. He's firing back, saying Spence already had his chance, got dominated, and didn't even look like he belonged in the same ring.
But I'm sure, he probably gonna push the weight up. But there's no gonna be no change in the decision. The performance still is gonna be the same. It might be even a little bit better. So he might want to watch out before he.
Now, both fighters are making it clear in real time that they're ready to go to war again. Spence, despite everything, is still confident. He says Crawford never fought him at full strength, that he wasn't himself in the first fight, and that this time he'll prove everyone wrong. Crawford, meanwhile, almost laughs at the idea that things could be any different. He sees Spence as overrated, too predictable, and says if they fight again, he'll beat him even faster. The trash talk is getting more heated every day, and with both men admitting that talks are happening, the rematch looks more real than ever.
Let's go! As you can see, man, breaking news, Errol Spence then activated that rematch clause to fight Terence again, right? Let's be honest, we all saw the fight. Crawford beat boogers out that boy.
Trash talk is already causing waves in boxing. Terence Crawford and Shakur Stevenson have always been close, with respect, mentorship, and shared goals. But now, they disagree about Errol Spence Jr.'s legacy. Crawford, who speaks his mind, has caused a stir by saying Spence doesn't deserve Hall of Fame recognition. Stevenson, one of the sport's top young champions, strongly disagrees. Their clash is sparking debates among fans, analysts, and even other fighters about what really makes a Hall of Fame career.
He'll win. I'm still a fan. I hope he do well. But once it got to the point where I moved up in weight and I'm in the same weight as Spence, it's just like, oh man, you ain't fighting nobody. You this, you that, you this, you that. So now they trying to blemish my accomplishment just to boost him up. I'm like, dude, you're not gonna do that. Because I can retire right now and be in the Hall of Fame. He couldn't. Everything that I've accomplished, he's still trying to accomplish. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on him. I honestly don't know if he make it to the Hall of Fame with the accolades that.
Crawford started this controversy during an appearance on the Pound for Pound podcast with Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo. When the topic of Spence's legacy came up, he didn't hold back. Crawford said that, in his opinion, Spence doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame because he only fought in one division, while he recognized Spence's achievements, unifying 3 welterweight titles and beating top fighters like Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, and Yordenis Ugas. Crawford insisted it wasn't enough. For him, a Hall of Famer is someone who wins in multiple weight classes, builds a strong record, and proves greatness beyond just one division.
Credit one of the best wins on your resume. It starts to make people look at your resume with a question mark. Terence Bud.
That statement caught the attention of the whole boxing world. Crawford didn't just criticize Spence's career. He basically closed the door on any talk about Spence's place in boxing history. Fans and experts quickly reacted, some saying Crawford was being disrespectful, while others felt he was just being honest. The most surprising response came from Shakur Stevenson, one of Crawford's closest friends. During an interview with the Best Women's Boxing Show, Stevenson disagreed strongly. He said Spence had a great career and that if it weren't for Bud, he could have been undisputed. He went and won every belt one by one, and Stevenson believes he is a Hall of Famer. His words challenged Crawford's narrative, giving a different view that recognized Spence's dominance and what could have been.
Went on Pound for Pound podcast, and he said that Errol Spence will not be a Hall of Famer. Can you just give me your thoughts on that?
I disagree.
You disagree? Why do you disagree?
I feel as though Errol had a great career. If it wasn't for Bud, he would have been undisputed. So he went and got every belt one by one by one. I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Stevenson's view shows a big debate in boxing about the Hall of Fame. Does a fighter have to win in multiple divisions to be great, or can dominating one weight class be enough? Stevenson thinks Spence's success at 147 pounds is enough. Crawford, however, doesn't agree. For him, being a unified champion in just one division, even with Spence's achievements, is not enough to be considered a legend.
Errol's run was long enough, no Diddy, to automatically put him in the Hall of Fame. He was a very good fighter. If there was a Hall of Very Good, he would be going into that. But Hall of Fame, no. If you were in charge of writing the Hall of Fame speech for Errol Spence, and I was in charge of writing a Hall of Fame speech for Bud Crawford, my Hall of Fame speech, listing my credentials, listing my accolades for Bud Crawford, would sound a lot better than your speech for Errol Spence, bro. Yeah, I don't think unifying and holding 3 titles automatically push you in the Hall.
The tension between Crawford and Stevenson may not be a big fight between them, but it's definitely causing a stir. They've always respected each other, but this is one of the rare times they openly disagree on something important. Stevenson isn't just any fighter. He has trained with Crawford, learned from him, and looked up to him for years. So for him to publicly disagree shows a lot. It also makes people wonder how this might affect their friendship in the future.
He gave me that opportunity to fight him. It's only right that if that's what he want to do, I'll give it back to him. Outside of him, I was definitely looking for that Jamel Charlo fight, but they just stripped him for the WBO. So now it's going to be kind of hard, becoming a 3-weight world champion if he don't come back and fight Tim Tszyu and be successful after his fight with.
Adding more heat to the debate, Hall of Fame talks are always political, and Spence's case is causing divisions in boxing. Some people say that Spence's comeback from a serious car crash and still defending his titles makes him even more worthy of the Hall of Fame. Others think Crawford is sending the wrong message by downplaying fighters who succeed in only one division, since many legends built their entire careers in a single weight class.
Say Crawford is a hell of a fighter, but I don't really respect his resume. What? Other than fighting you. Crawford? You know what I'm saying? What? I don't really respect his resume like.
There's another side to this debate, Crawford's history with Spence. Some people think his comments aren't just about Hall of Fame rules. They're personal. They say Crawford is trying to downplay Spence's legacy because of their rivalry, wanting history to remember him as the better fighter. If Spence gets into the Hall of Fame, it proves he was an all-time great, even if Crawford beat him, and Crawford may not be ready to accept that.
Waves of YouTube. Let me make a plea right now to Terence Crawford. I understand you just beat him. You beat him thoroughly. You're the undisputed welterweight champion of the world, the WBO, the WBA, the WBC, the IBF titles, but you hugged him after the fight for a reason. I am making a plea to Terence Crawford. Even if you elect to give Errol Spence Jr. a rematch, please do not do this for at least a year. Please don't do that.
Meanwhile, Spence hasn't responded to Crawford's comments publicly, but it's clear he's not happy. He's always proud of his achievements, and being dismissed by Crawford is making him even more motivated. Some say he might use this as extra fuel for their possible rematch, wanting to prove that he's not just a great fighter, but an all-time great, someone worthy of the Hall of Fame no matter what Crawford says.
Errol can't take him. I think he's the bigger, stronger fighter, but Errol methodically marches down and breaks you down. I don't know if that can be done to Crawford. I think that Crawford is a marvelous boxer. I think he's got the temperament of a champion that really wants to do damage and be spectacular. He can fight conventional, he can go southpaw. He brought the power with him, and I think the biggest thing is that Errol Spence might have gave him a little bit too much.
The debate isn't ending soon. Fans, fighters, and analysts are choosing sides. Is Crawford just stating facts, or is his rivalry with Spence affecting his opinion? Is Stevenson right to defend Spence, or is he just being careful? The boxing world is watching closely. One thing is clear. This isn't just about the Hall of Fame. It's about legacy, pride, and the fight for respect in one of the toughest sports in the world.
I'll support y'all fighter. Let's come together, make this event a success. Instead of everybody saying every time we get together, it's always shooting and violence. Everybody know Team Crawford. Y'all know I get act.
But if anyone's Hall of Fame status is in question, it's not Errol Spence Jr. It's Terence Crawford. Forget all the hype and carefully planned legacy talk. The truth is simple. Crawford isn't chasing history. He's chasing money. That's why fans, fighters, and critics are starting to question whether he truly belongs in the Boxing Hall of Fame.
This is what I think about resumes, and especially when it comes to these two fighters specifically, because they got a lot of the common opponents.
Yes.
But the day that they fought these opponents is what's uncommon. And so you can pick who you want to pick, and I fought him, and he had I broke both eyes, and then you fought all this and that. Bottom line is, a lot of fighters aren't who they are on Tuesday. They're not that same fighter on Saturday.
You are absolutely
That's the
right.
Crawford's trainer, Brian Boac McIntyre, is saying the Canelo-Alvarez fight isn't about money. But who are they trying to fool? Crawford is moving up 2 divisions to fight one of the richest fighters in boxing, not for his career, but for the huge Saudi payday. If Crawford really cared about his legacy, he would focus on proving himself at 154 pounds, facing the top fighters, and maybe unifying titles again. But he barely beat Israel Madrimov, showing he won't dominate 154 the way he did at 147.
Because this is the legacy fight. He wants this for his legacy. Now, if you ask me, I think Terence Crawford's taking it to the stupid. He's not going up there for no damn legacy fight. You know what? He's going after Canelo for the reason that he said after he fought Madrimov and after he fought Errol Spence. He wants the most money possible. Simple. He's not trying to move down the ladder and shift into reverse.
The younger, hungrier fighters were waiting, and instead of facing them, Crawford chose the biggest payday in boxing. And let's talk about the Madrimov fight. Fans know what they saw. It wasn't the same dominant performance he had against Spence. It wasn't a highlight reel masterpiece. It was a tough battle that could have been a draw, and that was against a fighter who, while skilled, isn't the best in the division. If Crawford struggled there, what makes anyone think he can jump to 168 pounds and face a champion like Canelo?
Old videos are starting to surface of Terence Bud Crawford saying he'd never go over 154 pounds, and weight classes are there for a reason. And so a lot of people are questioning, why is he willing to move up to 168 for Canelo all of a sudden? He's going against his own word. It's a money grab. It's duh, bruh.
But here's the point. Crawford doesn't care about climbing the weight classes the right way. He doesn't care about taking on the toughest challenges. He just wants the biggest name, the biggest fight, and the biggest payday. When the Canelo fight is over, does anyone think he'll stay at super middleweight? Of course not. He'll take the money, probably take the loss, and then plan his next move. That's not a Hall of Fame mindset.